Hey guys, today in Quick Animes I'm going to talk about the first 3 episodes of the horror anime called Ghost Hunt, where a girl meets a ghost hunter and ends up involved in a supernatural case. Stay tuned, as there will be spoilers ahead. The anime begins with the protagonist Taniyama Mai, in her school's video room, telling horror stories with 2 friends, Michiru and Keiko. The room is completely dark except for the light from 3 flashlights the girls carry. Mai says that each of them should tell a horror story and then turn off their flashlight. In the end, when the 3 lanterns had been extinguished, a ghost would appear. Michiru, the last to tell her story, talks about a nearby haunted building they call the Old School, where many mysterious accidents have happened over the years. As soon as she finishes telling the story, she turns off the last of the flashlights, leaving the room totally dark. They count to 3, and a male voice says the number 4, startling the 3 girls. But it's not a ghost, but Shibuya Kazuya, an older and mysterious boy, who the girls are soon enchanted by. He says he didn't want to scare them and was curious to hear voices in a dark classroom. So the girls say they were telling horror stories. Shibuya asks if he could join too, so they ask him to meet together the next day, and he accepts. The next day, when Mai is going to class, she passes in front of the old school building and decides to snoop around. She sees through the glass of a door that there is a camera inside and goes inside to see what it is about. Already inside the building, when she is about to touch the camera, a voice interrupts her. This causes the girl to lose her balance and ends up dropping a closet on top of her, but before the closet falls, a man saves her and consequently ends up getting hurt. At that moment Shibuya appears, and seeing that the man had been injured, asks if there is a hospital nearby. She says yes, a little embarrassed by the situation. Before leaving, Shibuya tells her that the school bell had rung, and the girl runs late to class. In the next scene, Mai and her 2 friends are in the classroom talking, when a girl named Kuroda arrives and overhears them talking about telling horror stories. She says that she's been having a lot of headaches lately, and that it always happens when there are spirits around, and also says that they shouldn't tell horror stories just for fun, because it attracts spirits. At that time Shibuya arrives and asks if she can really feel spirits, and what she felt about the old school building. Kuroda says that many people had died there during the war, and that it used to be a hospital. So there were many spirits in the building. Mai's friends, afraid they would attract spirits, give up telling horror stories that day. Shibuya then asks to speak with Mai alone. He tells her that the man who ended up getting hurt earlier was his assistant and had sprained his ankle, so he wouldn't be able to walk for a while, which makes the girl very upset. He also says that his camera was destroyed. So Mai asks how much it would cost to fix it, and Shibuya says she couldn't pay for it. The only way she could make up for the damage would be to take her assistant's place. The girl asks what kind of job it is, and he says he's a ghost hunter, and who heads the Shibuya Psychical Research Institute. And he was there at the request of the school principal to investigate the old school building. Later that day, while Shibuya and Mai are taking some equipment to the old school, he tells her about the accidents that occurred in the building. Shibuya says that they all have a logical explanation, and that from what he had researched, there was no evidence of ghosts in the place, only rumors. During the time they are working together, the girl realizes how arrogant and narcissistic he is, because of him bragging about how smart and handsome he is, and starts calling him Naru-chan, the narcissist. At night, on her way home, Mai meets Michiru and Keiko, and tells them what she's been up to late with Shibuya. And guys, I'll keep calling it Shibuya so I don't get too confused. Kuroda appears and asks Mai to introduce her to Shibuya, and says that since she can feel ghosts, maybe she could help with the investigation. Mai says that she better not get too involved because Shibuya is very professional, and this ends up irritating the girl, causing the 3 of them to run away from her. The next morning, Mai finds Shibuya checking the previous day's research. When they arrive, Matsuzaki Ayako, who is a Miko, a type of priestess, and Takigawa Hoshao, a monk from Mount Kuya, where a Buddhist religious community was founded in the year 816 AD. The 2 also went to the haunted location at the request of the school principal. Matsuzaki arrives teasing Shibuya, saying that the equipment was too sophisticated for a child to use, and he responds by saying that the Mikos should be young, pure, and innocent, and that she would be too old to be one, drawing some laughs from Takigawa and Mai. Kuroda arrives and starts talking about being sensitive to spirits, but is interrupted by Miko, who calls her a show-off, saying that she is not able to see spirits and that she just wants to show up. The angry girl says she will send the spirits after her and leaves. Then the school principal shows up, bringing in John Brown, an Australian exorcist who has also come to help with the investigations. Once inside the old school, Miko ends up trapped in a room after the door closes by itself. And everyone rushes to help her when they hear her screams. After the door is broken down by Takigawa, everyone gathers to discuss what happened, until Hara Masako, a psychic very famous for her TV appearances, arrives. Kuroda also appears again and says that the spirits in the place are very powerful and that they attacked her in a hallway, pulling her hair and trying to suffocate her. When Shibuya looks at the camera positioned in that hallway, the image only shows static. He says that when a spirit manifests, electronic equipment can be defective. So Mai wonders if it was because of the stories she told Michiru and Kaiko that the spirits were called. Miko then decides to perform an exorcism on the spot. The director and another man accompany her during the ritual as she pronounces a Norito Shinto, which would be a type of incantation to ward off evil spirits. At the end of the ritual, she says that there is nothing more to worry about and that the ghosts are gone. But moments later, the windows burst and end up injuring the director and the other man who was accompanying him. Hara Masako, the medium, says that it was just an accident and that there are no spirits in the place. Kuroda gets very angry at this statement and remembers that she was attacked by some spirit. Looking at the cameras scattered around the place, Mai sees that there's a chair in one of the rooms that wasn't there before. They look at the recording and see that the chair is apparently moved by itself. Kuroda then suggests that it could be the work of a poltergeist. That, for those who don't know, poltergeist means noisy ghost in German and are paranormal events that manifest in an environment in which there are physical occurrences, such as objects that move by themselves, lights, tapping sounds, and may also involve attacks. Returning to our story, Shibuya says that it can't be a poltergeist because when they manifest, the temperature of the place increases, and in this case it didn't happen. Then John talks about Tizane's categories, which would be a set of 9 different categories to organize poltergeist phenomena. After that, Hara Masako insists that there are no spirits in the placeland, which makes Kuroda angry again. Hara then says he's going to take a walk around the building and leaves the room. Moments later, everyone hears a noise coming from upstairs, and Hara ends up falling out of the building through a hole in the wall. She ends up needing to go to the hospital, but before going, Harara says that her fall was not a supernatural event and that it was just an accident, and reinforces that there are no ghosts in the place. Takigawa says that maybe it was a spirit so strong that it could be making its presence go unnoticed. And this time it is John who decides to perform an exorcism according to his beliefs. During the exorcism, the ceiling of the room he is in starts to fall, and Mai rushes to save him, and she arrives in time to prevent the worst from happening. After that, everyone decides to end that night and go home, but Shibuya decides to stay. The next morning, Mai finds him sleeping in the back of his van, and soon after arrive Takigawa, John, and Miko, who asks why he had collected the equipment from inside the old school. Shibuya says that he has come to a conclusion about the case, and explains that the building had been built on a landfill, as it was sinking into the ground. In this way, all the phenomena witnessed were caused by the building being collapsing, and with one side more sunken than the other. When Kuroda remembers the hair pulling she suffered, Shibuya says it may have been caused by a spirit that followed her there. The girl insists that there are ghosts in the place, and soon after, a glass window shatters, and the doors begin to open and close by themselves. Everyone leaves the building scared, and some end up injuring themselves because of the glass. An enraged Miko says she almost fell for Shibuya's conversation, and Takigawa says he'll show you how adults do it. Downcast over the situation, Shibuya leaves. Later, Mai and John place microphones around the building, while Takigawa performs his exorcism, until at the end, Miko says that the exorcism is over and that this time the spirits are gone, but Kuroda says that she continues to feel the presence of various spirits in the room. The location. As Takigawa boasts that he has banished the spirits, the light bulbs burst, and everyone hears footsteps from upstairs. Everyone runs out of the building, but before Mai can get out, a locker falls on top of her, and she passes out. During her unconscious time, she has a daydream about Shibuya, which she thinks was real. A while later, she wakes up with the others around her, saying that she has been passed out for a long time. Mai asks if Shibuya has already returned, and Takigawa says no. Miko comments that the exorcisms didn't work, and that things are getting pretty dangerous. The next day, while Kuroda is bragging about the events of the night before, she and Mai are called to the principal's office. In the room, the principal is accompanied by Shibuya and everyone else involved in the old school case. Shibuya closes all the curtains and turns on a pulsating red light, and asks everyone to focus on it and relax. Mai and the others get sleepy, and in the background you can hear Shibuya's voice saying that night, the chair in the second-floor room would move, and that he would be in the old-school laboratory. And he opens the curtains and wakes everyone from their trance. Mai tries to talk to Shibuya, but the guy barely pays attention to the girl, and he leaves without saying goodbye, while the girl is thinking about the dream she had when she was unconscious. In the next scene, we see Mai and Shibuya talking in his van, and he asks if she had put a microphone on the second floor the night before, and she says yes. Shibuya says the mic picked up some interesting sounds. Mai says that the cupboard that fell on her was hot, and that he had said that when a poltergeist manifests, it leaves a trail of heat. So at that moment, John arrives. In the next scene, they are inside the old school, and they place a chair in the middle of the second-floor room, where there is a circle drawn on the floor, point an infrared camera in their direction, and then seal the room with plywood. Then Shibuya orders John and Mai to write on the plywood. They write, and as soon as they finish, Shibuya glues a piece of paper between two plywood and tells them to write there too. Mai asks why they did that, and Shibuya says that the next day they will know. The next day, Shibuya's assistant is back, and everyone gathers in front of the sealed room. Shibuya orders them to check if the paper that sealed the room has been torn. Mai and John verify that it is the same, which shows that no one has entered the room. They remove the plywood, enter the room, and see that the chair is no longer in place. Shibuya shows everyone the video from the night before, where we see the chair moving by itself, and he says that it was caused by a poltergeist. And it says that when he called everyone in the principal's office and showed the pulsing red light, he was doing a hypnotic induction about the chair moving in that room. Shibuya explains that poltergeists can be the paranormal manifestation of a person with paranormal abilities under heavy stress, which happens unconsciously, and that when induced by hypnosis, in case the chair moves, this thing would happen. That's when everyone realizes that the one who was always looking for attention in that group was Kuroda. Shibuya said that he had been keeping an eye on her since the beginning, quote, as Kuroda said that he had seen spirits in the place that died during the war, but the place had never suffered any kind of attack during the war, and it had never been a hospital as she had said. This explains why the medium Hera did not feel any spirits in the place. We also learned that when Miko got trapped in one of the rooms, it was because Kuroda put a nail in to stop the door from opening, and the footage of the moment when Kuroda claimed that she had been attacked was erased by herself. At the moment when everyone ran to hear Miko's screams, when asked if they are going to hand the girl over to the principal, Shibuya surprises everyone by saying that they were going to report that the school did indeed have war ghosts, and that they were exorcised with the help of everyone there. This attitude of his makes Miko very excited to the point of asking him out, but he dumps him, saying, "You know how to look in the mirror." What makes everyone fall in laughter? The next scene shows everyone leaving, while Mai is thinking that she would miss her. Shibuya appears and asks if she shouldn't be at school. Mai says that she wanted to see him, and he is once again ignorant and shows himself to be quite an asshole, and this makes the girl get angry and leave. The scene cuts to Mai, remembering the team that solved the mystery at the old school, when part of the building finally collapses. A few days later, Mai is once again called to the principal's office as she has a call. When she answers the call and hears Shibuya's voice, she gets all excited. But he called to talk about the girl's payment for the time she was his assistant. At the end of the call, Shibuya invites her to a part-time job at the Shibuya Psychical Research Institute. The final scene shows Mai arriving at the company office to start her new job. What would you do if you were called to work for a company that hunts ghosts? Would they have the courage? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel by activating the bell to receive notification of the next videos here at Summarizing Animes. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.